Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video, and welcome to a video that is going to be rather serious today. It's not warranted by any specific event that occurred. No specific event that occurred in my real life. Nothing has happened where I would feel the need to make this video, except just collective thoughts, and I've been thinking about it. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about low self-esteem issues, how you deal with it, how you should deal with it, how I deal with it, all sorts of different things. And hopefully that you guys, those of you with low self-esteem problems and everything, hopefully this helps. I just felt the need to make this video because I see a lot of people, they talk about how they have self-esteem issues, social and anxiety problems, all sorts of different things. And I felt the need to make this just because it's bound to help at least one person, hopefully. So that's really just what I'm gunning for. Before we get into this and tell you how I deal with self-esteem problems and everything and that sort of stuff, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory in regards to myself. In case you weren't already aware, I have low self-esteem issues and my God, I can't say that word. Social anxiety issues. Now it's not to the point where, I dress, emo and I cut myself and I do all sorts of crap. No. It's just a lot of things that swirl through my mind. And so let me explain, because this is starting to get all over the place here. I don't know. My father has had the same problem when he was a kid too, so it's possibly a genetic thing. But I'm a shy, bashful person in real life. I typically don't say much unless something is said to me first, and that's just because I'm afraid of saying something stupid that will get people to either hate me, or think I'm weird, or think I'm stupid, or think I'm all these bad things about me. And so I try to avoid saying anything unless I'm spoken to first. And that creates some social anxiety problems for me, because I want to interact with other people in my life. I want to have more friends. I want to be able to hang out with people, because I'm a teenager. I'm a high schooler. I gotta do these things because that's just how it is. And because I'm a shy, bashful person, and I'm so afraid of what people think of me, I have friends, okay? I don't want to say I don't have many friends, because that's not true. I don't have as many friends as I would like, and this is all created by my social anxiety problems. I constantly beat myself up. Oh, you should talk more. You should be saying stuff to other people. You should be doing all sorts of different things. And every time, I feel like I don't capitalize on an opportunity to start something new, start some new interaction with another person, I beat myself up for it. And it's gotten to the point where tears have been shed. Yeah, it's gotten to that point. It has not escalated past that yet. Hopefully it won't. I don't feel like it will. I have a fear of cutting myself. I don't like pain, and I don't like blood. So I don't think that's going to happen. I'm never gonna do anything suicidal. Never even going to consider it. But tears have been shed. Only occasionally, but it has happened. And it's all because of my social anxiety and everything. And the fact that I feel like I should be interacting with other people, but I'm not. So that's the social anxiety side of it. Now for the low self-esteem, which kind of intertwines with social anxiety, but it's different at the same time. Anytime I do something poorly or I fail at something, I fail to accomplish something that I feel I could have accomplished easily, or if someone ridicules me for not accomplishing something or failing to do something, I beat myself up for that too. That has caused many more tears to be shed than the social anxiety issues. And again, it hasn't escalated past that point yet, and it probably won't ever. But yeah, I beat myself up a lot for it. Tears have been shed over it. And specifically for these things, not so much the social anxiety, although I have done this for social stuff that I get worked up about. And I've mentioned this in a weekly update video, I remember it. I blame God. I'm a Christian, by the way. I blame God, because the thoughts swirling through my head are completely irrational and illogical and everything, and they're just swirling through my head, all because of these different things that are going on, and I can only see the negativity, and it just creates low self-esteem for me. And so I sit there and I blame God almost every time this happens. And I ask him if he gets enjoyment out of watching me suffer. If he what else? Why does he make life so much harder for the people who actually believe in him than the people who don't? That sort of thing. And it's really bad stuff because, if you're not a Christian, if you're not familiar, you're not supposed to, be questioning God. You're not supposed to be saying this sort of crap to him. And I do almost every time I get worked up, like extremely worked up, about whether it be social problems or, something regarding low self-esteem. I get worked up to that point. And that's just kind of like to explain how bad it gets, my self-esteem and everything, how bad that gets. That's just to explain that. I'm not going to dive too much farther into it because I don't think I need to. But yeah, usually I get over it and I apologize to him later through prayer. Like as early as like half an hour later, because and at the very latest a few hours later, because by the time the effects of getting worked up have worn off, I'm ready to apologize and hopefully let him forgive. Now if you find this funny, oh, look at him, he's he's talking to a god. He's expressing his religion, that sort of thing. It's fine that you find it funny, but don't bash me for it, okay? Because I'm entitled to that right to express my religion, so don't bash me for it. Sure, you're entitled to your freedom of speech, but I'm just gonna block the fuck out of you if you bash me for, expressing my religion and everything. And I'm not gonna enforce beliefs down people's throats. I'm not gonna shove my beliefs down other people's throats. That's not what I do. I state what I am. I'm a Christian, and I state what we believe. Yada yada yada. That's it. I don't force anything down other people's throats. I'm not gonna do that because you guys are all entitled to whatever you want to think. So that whole thing there, that whole first almost 10 minutes was about my issues and everything, and how I deal. Well, no, I haven't covered how I deal. That's what we're getting into now. You might ask, It sounds like it happens a lot, very often. Cap, how do you deal with it? How you always, how do you always manage to come out on top of it? How are you able to recover within, half an hour or a couple hours, after you have those problems like overtake you? How does that, how do you do that? And it's cliche, it's cheesy, and it sounds stupid, but I'm going to dive deeper into it, and I'm going to explain it better, so hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds. But I think positive. I think positive to get through those things. Now let me dive deeper into it. Most of the time, the reason I calm down is because positive thoughts start flowing through my head. So let's say, what's a good example? Let's say I get a C on a test, which bad by my standards, bad by my expectations. Say I get a C. I start beating the fuck out of myself up for that. I start bashing myself like crazy. Tears are being shed. And all these negative thoughts are swirling inside my head, and that's all I can think about, and all I'm doing is sitting there blaming God, crying, all these different things. Low self-esteem. Really, really low self-esteem at that point. And then First off, you only have to calm down a little bit. I only have to calm down a little bit. And then I just start thinking positive. I look at the positive side of every situation. And so, sure, I got a C on the test, but I still have a B in the class. You just have to look at the positive side of every situation. You can't continuously look at the negatives, because eventually it's going to eat away at you, and you're going to encounter some major struggles, some major problems as a result of that. And because I'm able to look at the positive side of things in those dark situations, I'm able to prevent myself from doing very harmful things to myself, to others, and ultimately causing much more pain than I have ever experienced. And so this may not apply to you. This whole thinking positive thing could very well not apply to you because, maybe you don't get extremely worked up over your low self-esteem and whatever else you're dealing with. Maybe you don't sit there and cry. Maybe it gets you down. Maybe it's just, something that makes you sad. You're kind of in a depressed mood, but you're not sitting there having a mental breakdown. In that case, again, it's not necessarily thinking positive. I mean, sure, you are supposed to do that. You got to do that. But in that case where you're just in a depressed mood, in that case, I would just try and, do something that relaxes you. Do something that you find fun. If you're depressed and you find solace in basketball, go out and play some basketball. That's what I can recommend. I've been in those depressed moods before, and I've always turned to either basketball or video games or my computer or YouTubers that I watch. I turn to them. I turn to those things, and then it definitely helps. Gets me out of that mood. And half the time I can't even remember what I was upset about. So that's how I deal with depressed moods, and how I deal with mental breakdowns that I have. And it's not guaranteed to work 100% of the time, but it's going to work a majority of the time. So you have to give it a shot. Force those positive thoughts into your brain. If you're having a mental breakdown, force them in there. The negative thoughts may feel like they're clouding your brain and everything, but you can force positive thoughts into there. And once you get some positive thoughts in there, you calm down, and you feel much better afterwards. Trust me. Yeah, and as for the depressed mood, again, do something fun. Do something that you find solace in. Do something that relaxes you. Any one of those, and it'll definitely help. It'll get you out of that depressed mood, and possibly even though it's probably only in my case, possibly you could even forget what you were so upset about. Because again, as I've said before, that happens just about half the time I'm in one of those moods. Voice crack. So yeah, those are my I guess my tips, really, and how I deal with the things I go through. Cutting and suicide is never the answer. Cutting yourself does not do anything. It only harms your body and only harms you. And eventually you're going to cut too deep and you're going to end your life before you want to. Eventually it's going to happen. You may think, it relieves me of my pain, and my anger and my sadness, by cutting myself. And, they're only little cuts, right there on my wrist. They're not going to do much. But, it's never good for you to harm yourself that way. And it's also never good to commit suicide. It's selfish. It shows that you do not care for the people who love you. And it's just, you have too much to live for. Everyone has too much to live for. And so for that reason, no one should commit suicide. I'm not going to dive too far into that because you guys already know, you've heard this spiel from many other people before. Don't commit suicide, don't cut. Two things you shouldn't do. Two ways not to deal with low self-esteem and self-esteem issues and everything, and social anxiety problems and everything. And I'm one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit farther into social anxiety specifically, in terms of how to eliminate the problem completely, so that you never get worked up again about, social anxiety and, the social problems you experience. I can't say just talk to other people, because you could very well be like me, and it could be very hard for you to do that. But you just either talk to the people you're comfortable with a lot, or talk to the people you're comfortable with a normal amount, and you just have to say things to other people. You have to. That's the only way you can eliminate that problem, is by talking to other people, letting people let people get to know you, and eventually they will like you, and that eliminates the problem. But you have to talk to other people, and I continuously tell myself that you have to talk to other people, or otherwise this problem is never going to go away. When you go to college, never going to go away. When you get a job, never going to go away. When you try to find the love of your life, never going to go away. So you just have to talk to other people. I mean, of course, when it's warranted, not like every 5 fucking seconds, trying to talk to someone, but when it's warranted and when you feel you can jump in on a conversation and contribute something, there you go. And, the best way to creating friendships and getting involved in interactions and everything and eliminating the problem is by being funny. I mean, I know it's hard for some people to make jokes and everything and be charismatic, but you have to be funny and charismatic, because that's what people like most. They don't like, looks is part of it, but the main reason, people like other people is because of, charisma and how funny they are. So, just state what you think is funny, and someone else out there is going to find it funny. You're not the only one that would find it funny. So, yeah, that's my advice for social anxiety and everything. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for this video. it's we're approaching the 20-minute mark. I always talk longer than I mean to in these videos, but hopefully this helped you with something. This isn't like necessarily a formal, like video on just how to eliminate social anxiety and, low self-esteem. But it's a video just on how to deal with those problems, how to deal with mental breakdowns and depressed moods, and how to get yourself out of, social anxiety problems, how to get a thinking positive, that sort of thing. That's just what this video is on. And I made the video for you guys as well as myself, because a lot of the stuff I have talked about I need to do for myself. So hopefully this helped. A lot of the stuff you might have heard before from other people, but you've heard it so many times from other people because it works. So yeah, again, hopefully this helped you. If it did, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. I don't make these kind of videos that often, or hardly at all. But subscribe to the channel nonetheless, for that gaming content, right? Yeah. Trust me. The things I mentioned, they are going to help. They are going to help. There's not a doubt in my mind that at least one of those things that I mentioned is going to help someone in some way, because I'm not to be pretentious, but they're right. The things I mentioned are right. So it's bound to help someone. No doubt it's going to help me, because I'm going to remember recording this video. Be like, hey, you need to do this, and this, in order to make your life better. So I'll talk to you guys later.